Hey, I am Mustafa Sharif. Thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica. I'm looking forward. This episode going to be super interesting. We have amazing
Mm.
storyteller. I have the pleasure to welcome Andy to Urbanistica podcast. Hey,
No, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for the invite.
my pleasure. How are you doing?
Good, I'm doing fine. It's been a beautiful day. Right now I'm out on my balcony and, got to spend time with my family, my sacred little granddaughter, who we haven't really been able to see so much over the past couple of months. So we're able to kind of connect and hung with my daughters and just savored the day. Yeah. And I'm feeling good. So life in this moment is awesome.
That's amazing. And how is it going
Yeah.
with you? I know you're in love with people. How is it going now and during the COVID-19?
Yeah, it's a time for pause and pondering. Yeah, we were a little low energy and had it was challenging for us, my wife and I. So we're feeling better, thankfully. As so it was kind of just home and taking it easy for quite a while, and it's just nice to be back in the groove. And yeah, and just we're looking forward to our markets that are really going to be expanding this year. So we have the website, we have all the Instagram, so everything's ready for launch, and we're just expecting the unexpected and riding the wave of the times. These are wondrous times. I mean, they're both a lot of worry, but also it's new possibilities are emerging. I feel that really strongly.
Yes,
And
it's great that
yeah.
you and your family feel good. So, Andy, how would you like to introduce yourself? And please tell us, what are you passionate about?
Over the past few years, I've really gotten more and more passionate about just community activism and creating within the community. And yeah, over the years, I've done a variety of things. I've worked with acupuncture and the healing arts for many years, both on the West Coast in Portland and here in Stockholm. And yeah, I've worked with a variety of things over the years. Yeah, as I get older, I just feel kind of becoming more of a mentor, and especially being here in Sweden, I feel this. Well, after living in Portland was very inspiring. We lived in Portland, and we moved here in 2007. So I was very inspired about living in Portland, and a lot of just a lot of DIY, a lot of community events going on all the time, local farmers markets, all kinds of markets. And I just started to realize after a while here that yeah, it's needed here, especially on my side of town, uh, in Bandhagen and Högdalen and Rogsved. And so yeah, I'm really passionate about that, about creating community and also empowering people within the community to take their place. This is a time that we need to take our place. We need to emerge and we need to connect with each other, even though in the context of the COVID times that connecting takes on a different nuance. But we are social beings and we need our rituals. And I've just through the celebrations that we've had over the past 4 or 5 years, I've learned a lot, and they continue to grow, and people are very enthusiastic about it, and it really enlivens and yeah, enlivens our hood and our
Yeah,
area,
yeah.
which is essential.
And Andy, how did everything start? Your passion to community. Is it when you were young, maybe when you were at school?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm always very social, and I've always really loved to connect with a wide variety of people. It's just been intriguing. Yeah, always. I mean, in Portland, you know, folks tend to be more extroverted. Maybe more folks are running around undiagnosed. No, what? But no, just enjoy it. I enjoy hearing people's stories and yeah, really learn a lot. I really feel honored to be able to connect with a wide variety of people, and yeah, I just enjoy it. How I can be of support, and yeah, so I've always been really open to that and very
Nice.
curious.
Mm,
Yeah, and as I get
great.
older, yeah, more so. Mm.
How do you define a community?
Community to me is something that's integrated, where folks feel, yeah, a sense of empowerment, a sense of pride, yeah, in their neighborhoods, and it's an ongoing process. Taking the time to say hello to each other, just the simple things, your neighbors, and also modeling that. I think it's really important to model it, especially here in Sweden or Stockholm, where folks don't always take the initiative. It's a different cultural narrative here. So yeah, I think it's really important to model that, to say hello and community is a, yeah, sense of connection where people feel invested in where they live.
Yeah.
feel a passion.
And who is responsible to model a community?
Well, it's how we all engage. We all have a role to play in that. All have a part to play in that. But I think it's a sense of pride too, and a sense of curiosity, and just a foundational piece too, in creating strong roots and supporting each other, and especially during this time, it's showing us during COVID-19 that we really need our local community. We need the people around us. We always have, but in other times the illusion is that we don't really need the folks around us, or we take it for granted. So this is really an opportunity for good practice to really realize how sacred our community is and the people around us, and to create ritual. To create ritual. For example, where I live in Bandhagen, which is in the southern suburbs, not so far from town. We have a beautiful centrum. We have the infrastructure, and to just start, to start holding space so we can create ritual, celebration, markets. And as we do that, people feel more empowered to engage. Everyone has something to offer. If it's just a basic lopis, or market, just setting up a table with your kids, or if you want to sell your art, or if you want to do some home cooking. And it really, it's holding the space and allowing people the opportunity to partake in that, not just conceptually, but physically holding the space.
Was it difficult for you to get in a community when you moved to Sweden? Is it hard to create or to get in a community?
Yeah, well, initially, the first few years, I kind of felt resentful. After living in Portland is a very different orientation than coming to Stockholm, and I was, and kind of was a little more resentful, and it was difficult. But as I let go of that and really started to appreciate and meet a lot of creative, cool folks, I gradually just started to kind of see new possibilities as got acclimated here, and always just feeling grateful to live here, because I feel like you have much more of a sense of ease. You feel more supported. I think in the States, you're always on survival circuit, with health insurance, always hustling for resources for your kids. And, when that's your fishbowl, that's what you do. But after coming here and being here a while, I was really able to let go of some of that stress, and and so that opened up new creative possibilities for me too. Where we're lucky enough to have a hyresrätt here and live affordably, and my kids have had great resources, and we have access to health care, and that's just, that makes a big difference in having that foundation to thrive. You can feel more creative and healthier too.
And did you find it easy to interact with people by not speaking Swedish?
I speak Swedish too, but I mostly resort to English. But I always take the initiative. It's never been an issue. I enjoy meeting new people, and I kind of see life as performance art, and every moment is an opportunity. So for me, I just kind of experiment with that playfully,
Yes.
And along the way, Stockholm is a big village after a while. When you meet a nice variety of folks, you realize that everybody is interconnected and divinely entangled, and and it's very inspiring and a very creative place, So so I feel very blessed and grateful.
That's wonderful.
To be living here.
Tell me the story about Bandhagen. Do you call it a festival or market? When did it started and how?
It just started kind of in our neighborhood. We have here in Bandhagen, we just have a really nice variety of people, pretty much from every country on the planet, right? It's a beautiful template of diversity. And on my street, in the two buildings that are adjacent to each other, there's just a nice variety of people. And we wanted to create an opportunity to connect with each other, because there's just a lot of cool folks, and it seemed like we need to create a day when when the weather's nicer to just create a ritual. And that's very based on, in Portland too, just having yard sales, neighborhood yard sales, right? So we just kind of impromptu came upon that it was getting to be the spring, and it would be nice just to kind of have a pop-up market, where people could set up outside their porch, just sell things. And it was pretty much a Brazilian friend of mine, Kyle, and I, who kind of orchestrated it. And people were really keen to that. We just kind of made up funky posters and just kind of put them up. And it was just kind of like 3 weeks ahead of time. And it happened to be a beautiful day. and yeah, it was just very, very nice ritual. You know, I had a friend come by with a food truck, and people set up, you know, in the grassy spaces where there's not usually anything happening, and it just kind of transformed the whole area, because we live on a beautiful street that isn't so, yeah, that you don't always realize. But when we kind of infused it with life, and we live in a cul-de-sac, and there's like a little island in the middle, and we kind of set up around there. It was just beautiful, you know, and people just wanted to hang out. And you know, on Facebook, the event got out a bit, so we had people coming from other parts of town, and it was just a very casual, laid-back, chill day where people could just kind of meet other neighbors and, you know, recirculate clothes and do some home cooking. And yeah, so it worked out really well. It was really fun, and people really appreciated it.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. And when did you
Yeah,
start it? When was it the first time you did
I
it?
think it was 2015 or 2016. And yeah, and then people just started talking about it. You know, wow, that was nice. And it was very transformative for people to see that, yes, this very simply, we can transform our space, you know, and really gave people a sense of place and just immediate neighborhood. Maybe that was which they weren't cognizant of before. You know, you need to model it. You need to show it. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant. It's just something very simple. Yeah, after that, people started asking about it, and yeah, and then we started. You know, we wanted to kind of do it again. So many people were asking, so you know, to kind of taking it to the center. You know, morphing it into the centrum seemed like the next phase where it could be really more accessible to everybody in the hood, right in the centrum. You know, because in our neighborhood it was more kind of accessible just to those in the immediate hood, which was great. But it was nice to expand it a bit and make it more accessible. And then that shifted the next year. It was more my friend Luciana, who lives across from the centrum, and we met earlier just at a bus stop when she was kind of yeah, each after a couple of years we'd been here, we just met at a bus stop and started talking. She's from Argentina, and yeah, we became friends after that. And she's very creative, and yeah, so we were speaking and said, you know, she did up a poster, and we just started talking, you know, and kind of promoting it. It pretty much started with just putting up the poster and finding a day, getting the till stand. And actually getting the till stand wasn't as difficult as I thought it was.
Yeah, is it really,
you know,
because what we hear is like getting this permission is super difficult. It's a lot of procedures. Tell me, was it easy to get it?
well, for me, I'm a little more naive. You know, I'm not, you know, here the sense of Tilston is much more loaded, I think, for people here. Oh my God, the bureaucracy. And for me, it was just like, I want this to happen. This needs to happen. I want to continue the momentum. So I had a lot of passion, and yeah, and I put it in my name, which is kind of silly because, you know, that gives me responsibility, but I felt like I just want to keep the momentum going. Yeah, so I went through the process, and it took a little while with the questions and getting in, you know, kind of modifying things, and answering their questions and getting the logistics. But it ended up going well. And yeah, it was just glorious. The first time we had Banddagen was just glorious. I mean, I could remember we were just there in the morning, and it was almost like biblical, the way people were kind of coming to the center and setting up. It felt very mythical, you know? Because the cool thing with these events is once you hold the space, people know what to do. They set up their table, they want to sell their art, they, you know, so it was, you know, holding space. And yeah, and it was nice. We got, I think the first time around, we got HSB, which is the Bostadsrätt Förening that that own, I don't know what you'd say, own or administer the Centrum. Yeah, they were super interested and supportive. So we got a bit of funding from them. And also ICA, Bandhagen, gave us a little bit of money. So, I mean, this was a super low budget labor of love, you know, and we didn't know how it was going to play out. And yeah, we had home cooking, we had some art. I think the first year we had a couple bands playing, and just a very makeshift stage, you know, but it was fun. It was just fun having it come together. And people really dug it. It was really well attended. And I don't know, we had like 50 or 60 tables. I think. Yeah, it was pretty well attended, and it was just a buzz. Just got to see a lot of awesome people in the hood that I don't usually see, and people just got to hang out, and a lot of kids were involved. We have quite a few of more elderly folks in the area, and it was just really well represented.
Yeah.
And it was funny because the first time we did it, they were also doing a reality show in Bandhagen. It was kind of an absurd premise. I can't really remember what it is, but it was a reality show where you had to divest of all your belongings except for like 5 things. And as it turns out, one of the contestants that day lived in the big building in Bandhagen Centrum, kind of like I guess it's like 15 floors. It's the Bandhagen sign is on top of the building. And I didn't realize this until afterwards because they filmed it. And he lived in Bandhagen, and for some reason, this is so absurd that he had his belongings like in a shed or in a storage space, like in back of Bandhagen Centrum, and he didn't have any clothes on. I mean, I didn't realize this till afterwards when they filmed it for the day for Bandhagen. So he looked out the window and he knew he had to run out to get his belongings. I'm not sure what the premise of the show was. With reality shows that get progressively more and more absurd. But anyway, for some reason, he had to run out naked to that storage shed, and he looks out the window and he said, "Holy shit!" Because nothing ever happens in the Centrum, and all of a sudden it was the day of Bandhagen. And he looks out, and I just remember that, because people are so used to nothing, it was, people are so used to not so much happening there. All of a sudden, it was like a revelation for him. He looked out the window and he saw like, oh my God, this event is going on. And, he had to run. Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't see it. And I think it was happening when I was kind of running. The more absurdity, the better. It just added to the beautiful chaos.
So you kept organizing Bandhagen Day now almost for the 5th year, right?
Yes, it was the 6th time that we've had it, but I think it was over 4 years because we did a Hearst Marknad and we did a Yule Marknad too a couple times. So it was just, we didn't really have a plan. We were just kind of going to do it when, Luciana had time and I had time, and there was never so much, there wasn't so much notice because we realized like 2 months ahead of time, we want to keep the momentum going, and it's like, well, even if we have a month and a half, it's better than not at all, and we'll see what happens. So we just went with it.
Yeah, and
it was just a matter of getting the till stoned, and each time, and so each time that got a little bit easier too.
It's only you and Luciana. That's it in the team.
Early on, I mean, we had people that would help out that day. Yeah, but Luciana, then we had a couple other people helping out on other events, helping us with social media a bit. We didn't really do so much with social media. We never had a website. We weren't that organized because I'm not so savvy on social media. I like Humansville, right? That's where I thrive. And so Luciana did the poster, and she helped me with the, people would register, on our Gmail events, and so we'd both kind of just take care of that. So she did her thing and I did my thing. She was very busy. I had quite a few things going on. It was just a great way to work on a project together because we appreciate each other very much, so it was fun.
Yes.
And it was so rewarding just to see, our community emerging and being activated. That was a buzz. It was fantastic to see. And, we felt that more and more as it went on. We started to see like, wow, this is really becoming a happening, and people are really responding to this. So that was very satisfying. But early on, it was pretty much just the two of us, and then some other people helping peripherally. And then we, HOSB, the Bostadsrättsförening, was very gracious and supported us, and ICA too. I mean, we didn't get a lot of money, but enough to pay expenses, pay for the music, pay for the DJ. I mean, we didn't have a lot of expenses. We had to keep it simple. It was necessity. And that's great practice. It was just really great practice going through this. The first time, a lot of electrical things were going. We had quite a few people doing home cooking, and like these Indian folks who had a microwave, every time they'd use that, everything would blow out, the music. So the next time OSB was able to sponsor an electrician for us, because you really needed one to kind of make sure everybody's dialed in. Otherwise, it's a lot more stressful. So each time we learned a lot, and we've done it 6 times. So and it's just been really fun and satisfying.
Yeah.
And then people help us co-create. Let's have an art corner. What are we going to do with the food? And I'm really, really open to different suggestions. It's good evolutionary practice.
Yes. So when is the next time are you going to have it?
Well, what's going on now is that I couldn't continue to have the Tillstånd in my name. We really need to do a förening, and we need to really kind of just expand accordingly, to have the foundation so we can thrive. We've pretty much been doing it, very spontaneously, by and that's been fun. But and I was thinking that it'd be fun to have it in Högdalen and Rågsved. And I connected with a person, we became good friends. His name's Mick, and he works with Spring Beast, which is the street art festival in Snösätra. And we just met impromptu through a mutual friend, and we started talking. And he was interested in having like a market like Bandhagen in Rågsved that week of Spring Beast, because people have to go through Rågsved to get to Snösätra. And they had like 15,000 people last year, right? So he's really inspired, and they've really created a big celebration there, which I don't know so much about. I've only gone to once, but so we talked, and we really connected, and we're really inspired, and we started talking about having a förening, and really partnering, like how we can support each other, that having a market that weekend would be great, that people would go to the market and then go to the festivities that they're having at Spring Beast and see all the street art. And and then he said, well, why don't we do it in Högdalen as well? And for me, it's like, I knew that, but I needed to hear it from somebody, which is the beauty of co-creating, and for me, it was so glorious to start seeing how it can morph in a bit, that was super exciting for me to see how this is, can really shape shift and change and grow and expand. Yeah, so we started working on that, and he's quite busy with the Spring Beast and doing what he's doing, because it's a very lofty vision he has of what he wants, well, not just him, but what they want to see that year. So we were kind of a partnering, would be kind of like a partnering förening. And so I started to think about that, and we still needed to do social media and websites, and that's not my thing. And I just met people that wanted to help me. I met this woman, Andrea, that we became good friends with. Her mom, there's so much deep synchronicity. Her mom participated in Bandhagen and loves it here. Andrea grew up in Bandhagen. I saw her briefly in Bandhagen, but I don't really know her. And then I met her at a cafe in town, and she said hi, and she said, "Oh, I really appreciate what's going on in Bandhagen, what's going on this year, and any way I can help." And I said, "Well, a matter of fact, we're thinking of starting a förening and getting more serious about this." I said, "We really need support on social media." And she said, "Oh, I'd love to do that." And as it turns out, she's an event coordinator, and she's worked big accounts like with Spotify, and she's awesome. And plus, she has vested interest because she lives here, and also in Rågsved she works. So that was that piece. And then at the same cafe, a few days later, I met another friend there. She had just come back from Asia and was it was difficult being back in Stockholm, and she was kind of feeling like, just with her work, and she just was ready for a change. So I told her what we're thinking of, and she said, "Oh, that sounds great. Is there any way I can support you?" I said, "Well, by the way, we need a website." And she said, "Well, that's not what I do per se, but," she said, "I'd be glad to help you out with that." And so between the three of us, it's been fantastic. We have the concept is called Southside 19 Markets. Lisa has the woman that helps us with the website has done she did a fantastic job on the website. Very playful, very colorful, very inviting. And so, so now we have a foundation. We have the website and the social media. I mean, when we had Banddagen, we had Instagram, but we had like 40 followers, which is super lame. For me, it's like, yeah, it's just not my thing. I need somebody to support that. And Luciana didn't really have time. And, we did it anyway. And it was a resounding success. But it's like, well, if we can actually, use social media in a healthier, way, that would really amplify the event as well. So now we have this foundation. And before COVID, we had dates set. We were going to start the season off with what we call Rog Swag Market in Rogsved, So we were going to start it because it was the same weekend as Spring Beast. So we were going to partner with them. And that was the end of May, which is like next weekend. So obviously that's not happening. And then we set tentative dates for Bandhagen and High Valley Market and Banddagen, we were going to call them. Well, Banddagen's already established. And, we were going to see how it goes. It was nice that we don't have to do it every week. We were just going to see. And then maybe if that went well, we were going to do it again the beginning of September when people are back in town. But now, since things have shifted, everybody's in town. There's no,
Yeah.
So, so we have everything set, and in Högdalen, the CityCom is going to support us. And we talked to other folks who are involved there, and they were really, really keen to partner with us, because it's a situation where everyone benefits. Small business, it's great for community, it's great, and so it's just exciting that it's all just about how we can develop and enhance our immediate areas.
Exactly. Yeah, because I wanted to ask you, what are the
and since
values
we've done
that
it,
this thing?
yeah, the values are respect, community, also to empower others to get involved. In these times, it's really important. It's really our kind of responsibility to be more community activists and to be engaged in our own way, however we do that. And just to show people, to like I said before, to model how important it is, to really feel proud of your hood and to own it. That's start where you are. That's Pema Children is a very Buddhist, right? Start in your hood, and just to engage people. It's very contagious, this sense of community. Once people start to experience and see the possibility, it opens up new possibilities. When you infuse the centrum with music, art, and food, and awesome humans, it really creates new possibilities. And folks meet other people, and they'll say, "Well, next time I'll sell this," and their kids can help them out, and especially in a market in the centrum, everybody can be involved. We want younger people, we want kids, we want older people, we want it to be as inclusive as possible, and as inviting as possible, to keep it affordable for people to have tables and just really hold space for people to show up and do whatever voodoo they do, So that feels great. And people know what to do, but I think people, especially here in the time of Cybersville, I think, Humansville, being being together with other humans has a certain allure to it now that, that has been lost, that people want to reconnect. It's like primal. I think it's very primal, this community connection, but people need an opportunity to partake in it, not just conceptually, but to hold space and say, here, okay, it's happening. Come on, and you don't need permission. You can just be yourself. You can show up, you can engage, you don't need to be anybody else. You can just, it's simple and very simple and radical in that way, almost. Well,
Yes.
it is radical.
And I'm working with architecture and urban planning. I'm thinking, how do you use the space in the city? Do you really need a specific space, or you just go all in and use whatever space you find?
Yeah. I mean, we're really blessed here. In Portland, for example, you wouldn't have it would be so much more, you wouldn't have an intact infrastructure. You would have, logistically, it would be much more challenging, be more of investment. So we're really blessed here where I live to have this beautiful centrum that everything is there for you. It's just the human has been left out of the formula. So for me, it made a lot of sense. And, we have a fountain in the centrum, and, so, and all these centrums, Högdalen and Rogsved. Maybe a lot of people who are listening aren't familiar with Stockholm, but So just along this line. But I think that if you have the passion, you can create this in, anywhere, because we don't have any money. I mean, we don't have any money per se. It's just more passion and engagement. And of course, you need to be supported in the area. But I think, if you can present it in a way, this is really something that's beneficial and people really sense that, it depends on how it's conveyed. But this has been great practice, to see what we can create. We have this tabula rasa that we're just filling, with infusing with life and spirit. And, we're doing this together. I remind people, especially here in Bandhagen, they'll see me and they'll say, oh, thank you. And that's great. That's super gratifying. But I really also say to them, but listen, we're co-creating this together. I need you to engage, set up a cluster of tables, invite people in, own this. I think that reminder is really important, especially here, not for everybody, but just the reminder that, listen, we want stuff to happen here. It's happening. Let's, help be part of the momentum, and just reminding people, and I say, and I tell them, I can't do this without you, I mean, thankfully, I'm a legend in my own mind, but that only goes so far. No, but just reminding them that we're co-creating this together. If you didn't get involved, it wouldn't look the same way. If we didn't have your spirit, if we didn't have, whatever you were selling, and just reminding people how essential they are as a part of the whole. That's very important to realize. We're all important cells in this. And it really empowers people when you remind them of that. It kind of reminds them, it engages them, because in our culture, because our narrative every day, we're always told that we're isolated. It's never good enough. It's never, and we feel many people feel very isolated and kind of alienated and disembodied just from the narrative of capitalism. You're not good enough. You're never good enough. Buy that. No matter what, you still end up sucking. You know what I mean? What if we didn't suck? What if so it's kind of, do you know what I'm saying? It's really kind of just looking at it from another perspective and really engaging with each other, reminding each other that we're all important pieces of this,
Yeah.
And that's what I want. Yeah, go ahead. So that's what I really want to convey, that we're creating this together,
Yes.
So that's really
I'm
important.
thinking that you put so much energy, a lot of working hours on this. What do you get back? What is your reward?
Well, compensation wise, very little, which down the line, I want to kind of create a template where I can earn my keep from this, because I love doing this. This is my passion, but it takes a lot of time away from my family. And, as my wife reminds me. And, but for me, it's just a passion. I do this anyway. When I'm out in the world, I'm connecting. So I'm not really doing anything that I don't usually do anyway. But it's just really satisfying. It's a buzz for me to start to, to be part of this awakening where people are really feeling proud of their hood, where people come up to me and say, thank you that we did, what are we going to do next? And, they're really engaging. That for me is just, it's just a very expansive feeling. That's what we're here on the planet to do. We're here to inspire and, to really be of service and to expand together, right? And whatever we do. And it's just simple,
Yes. Yes.
So that feels very satisfying.
Mm.
And, and as I get older too, I mean, I'm almost 60. I want to be more of a mentor. I want to be more of an inspiration. And it's just kind of organically worked out this way. I'm not even really trying. It's just kind of the opportunities are emerging, and I'm connecting with the people, like I told you, that I need to connect with, because people feel the passion, and we're aligned with that. So they're attracted to that, and it's fun to co-create with others, all on the time with Banddagen. I wanted more people involved, but sometimes it's hard for me to explain what I do. You know what I mean? It's difficult to tell them. So it's easier if I just do it, because I have the connections, I know the people. But ultimately, I want a nice variety of people to be involved. I want a nice, healthy co-creation with a nice variety of people. I mean, I really long for that. And that's more happening with Southside 19, and we'll be partnering with other organizations. And so that's exciting. I hope I'm not talking too fast. Am I?
No, you're a really good storyteller. And I wanted to ask you, did you notice that people are more willing to co-create, co-collaborate in recent years in Bandhagen?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think once they realize that there's opportunities, I mean, actually, kind of maybe they're a little sexy, to do that. I mean, the first time I was going to do that, we were going to do the Bandhagen, would put up posters in the houses nearby, and I would tell people, this is going to be happening, in a month, and people would just say no. You know what I mean? I said, well, this isn't a yes or no question. I'm just telling you this, because people are so used to it being this, it's been going this way for so long. That's just kind of an aside, but yeah, people, I encourage people. We would like to. We haven't had live music each time. Sometimes we have DJs, but I want to support local musicians. I really want to support local artists. I want to support local products. Because there's very few venues for people to do that. I mean, Hornsville is great, but it is what it is. But we need these in different areas of town. Portland really inspired me in that way. We really want to have a showcase where people can talk to other people about what they're doing, even in the healing arts. If they're teaching yoga, or if they're doing qigong, whatever you do. For me, whatever contributes to a healthy, conscious community is welcome. And just to really invite a variety of people in. If you're selling a book, set up a table, tell people about the book you're selling. So here that's not so. It's more segmented here. You don't see that as much. So, and I think the more we do it, the more people see that there's a place for them as well.
Yes.
As they come to So I think as it kind of morphs and grows, people are seeing that it's not just music, food, or art. It's whatever,
Exactly.
whatever conscious resources we want to bring to the table,
Yes.
literally and figuratively.
That's wonderful. And thank you so much again for giving your time. I'm really inspired by this
Oh,
conversation.
thank you. Well, I'm really inspired by you and all the great work you do. And it's fantastic meeting you. I'm glad that we could finally do this,
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah, and I really also appreciate the wide variety of speakers that you've had. I've only listened to tidbits of the podcast, but I was really impressed by just the variety of insight and projects that that you're focusing on. I think that's great.
Thank you so much. So
Yeah.
how would you like to summarize your reflections and what we talked about in three takeaway messages to all the listeners that listening to you?
I would say that, we all have a role to play, and politically, and also the times that we're in, we need to emerge in a radical way, in a radical, compassionate way, however we're compelled to do so. And as we do that, it creates new possibilities. I mean, a few years ago, I didn't know it was going to morph to this point, but I really want to be inspiration while I'm here on the planet, to really inspire people to kind of partake, to kind of bring their creative presence forth, and just to help, and just to co-create, to emerge and awaken in that way. I mean, it's a necessity right now. It's not just gratifying, but it's essential that we kind of really focus more on and for me, in the Centrum and doing a market is perfect, because it's very inclusive, and yeah, really empowers people to get involved and get engaged in a very simple way. It's nothing complicated. Anybody can participate. So it made a lot of sense for me in this way. And yeah, and if the markets go well, just to kind of import, the templates to other places in town, and because it's really essential that we start in reclaiming our local communities, especially during the COVID. We see that we really need our local, strong, deep roots in our community. It's very, very important. So did that answer your question?
Yes, of course, you did. Very powerful messages. Thank you so much, Andy.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mustafa, and yeah, we'll talk soon.
Well, thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. Please don't forget to follow Instagram and subscribe the YouTube channel for live talk. If you have any great story that makes our city smarter, please contact me. I am Mustafa Sharif. Keep up the good work. Keep loving cities.